will it take to increase that number, and where do you believe the sweet spots lie? Where do you believe the interconnectedness is that people should be focused on today? If you were a startup today, looking at raising funds, looking at product market fit, what is it that you would go after?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think ultimately it is the Indian diaspora. We have, many of us are first generation immigrants. Our kids are growing up. They are at a very different level of operating, right? They are much more integrated into the society. They're thinking about the problems in very unique ways. And they are also thinking about problems that we don't even know about in some ways in terms of their generation. So I think it is really tuning your energy into what's happening. If I were to sort of think about this generation of what Navin and Radha are talking about in terms of disruption that's happening, I think I would go back to the basics, right? The human nature doesn't change. Doesn't matter whether we are in mobile era or chariot era or tree era, we're still going to get born. We're going to fall in love. We're going to fall out of love. We're going to be born. We're going to have kids, not have kids, choose to live our lives in one way or the other, change clothes, eat food. If you look at those fundamental tenets of life, therein lies massive opportunity. Let me give you two examples. Imagine if you were preparing a meal 50 years from today, and your grandmother was right there teaching you how to prepare that meal, who had actually passed away 30 years back. That scenario should give us all a set of both chill and warmth, and that is possible. Imagine if you wanted to drop into, let's just take the most obscure place that you can think of. Like, think of a small town in a state in India with a language and group of people that you can never connect to. And you could have a fluent conversation instantly day one, even though your only language you know is Hindi or English. Those kinds of scenarios are very much feasible as we look into the future. So why wouldn't we try to invent and reimagine the world through the eyes of AI, rather than thinking linearity and incrementality? If you think of Uber today, or Lyft, we think of it as, or Ola, we think of it as just something that's available, right? You just kind of go press a button and boom, it's available. That was not even imaginable many years back before the advent of mobile phone. So I think we are really underselling how we are thinking about AI by thinking of it as a threat or incrementality. I think it's a revolution, and it requires us to deeply reimagine the reality in a way that fosters better connection, more peace, more love, and more humanity. And it's all feasible, and more prosperity for all of us.
So how many unicorns at this point in time that you're invested in are on the cusp of becoming Decacorns, Navin?
That's a good question. I would say a handful, and if they're not leveraging AI, the mindset of investors, whether public or private, is just not there. It's like AI everywhere, and it's even within
just not in earnings yet for most companies.
But it's private, right?
Yeah.
Like unicorns are anyways imaginary figures.
Yeah.
They're not real figures. I'd rather want public companies which we can distribute stock in. Paper ones don't matter. They come, they go. They're just imaginary. So we should look at, I think, the number of Indian CEOs who run Decacorns.
Yeah.
Liquid. I think that's going to be much more than 11%.
Yeah.
Right? We should look at that stat, and of the market cap of tech, the Indian CEOs running the total market cap of NASDAQ, the number is even going to be higher than 11%.
It'll be significantly higher. It'll be significantly
So I think to
higher,
me, that's the important thing. We are in a hype cycle. More paper-based unicorns will get created. But to make money at the end, at some point, you have to trade on revenue. You go public, at some time you have to trade on earnings, right? That's the basic law. And so that's where I would focus, right? And I've seen waves come up, things go down, then they again come up.
Yeah.
And it's just build real businesses. That's what my advice always to entrepreneurs is, and good stuff happens.
Absolutely, good stuff does eventually happen, or we hope that more good stuff will happen than bad. Manish, I'll give you the closing comment on this, your aspiration, your ambition as you look at the world today.
Well, from my perspective, our job is to really get more and more closets of wardrobes online, and I feel like AI is going to ultimately accelerate that. We can just turn around and say, let me shop Shereen's closet and get that beautiful red dress in my closet, and that I think one day we can hopefully magically make possible.
Well, Radha and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for joining me here.